Hello everybody. Today we're going to do a text talk lesson for grade 3, and it's based off the standard RL.3.4 where students determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in the text. We're going to be reading the book Dreamers today by Yuyi Morales, and then we will use our board that I have created back here to help walk us through a vocabulary text talk. So first I will read Dreamers. I dreamed of you, then you appeared. Together we became amour, love, amour. Resplendent life, you and I. One day, we bundled gifts in our backpack and crossed a bridge outstretched like the universe. And when we made it to the other side, thirsty and all, unable to go back, we became immigrants. Migrants, you and I. The sky and the land welcomed us in words unlike those of our ancestors. There were so many things we didn't know, unable to understand and afraid to speak. We made lots of mistakes. You and I became caminantes. Thousands and thousands of steps we took around this land until the day we found a place we had never seen before, suspicious, improbable. Unbelievable, surprising. Unimaginable. Where we didn't need to speak, we only needed to trust. And we did. Books became our language. Books became our home. Books became our lives. We learned to read. To speak, to write, and to make our voices heard. Someday, we will become something we haven't even yet imagined. But right now, we are stories, we are two languages, we are lucha, we are resilience, we are hope, we are dreamers, sonadores of the world. We are love, amour, love. Okay, so now that we have read our book, we are going to go back through and look at some words in the text that maybe we aren't familiar with, and we're going to try to figure out what those words mean together by looking at clues in the text. So I made us a nice little poster here for our vocabulary talk. So what we're going to do for each word, these are just some prompting things for students to do here. is we're going to go to the page that a word is on. So we would say to ourselves, on page, whatever the page, it said, and we would say the word, the vocabulary word we're trying to figure out. Then we would look at the story and reread around that word to maybe try to determine the meaning. And then we would come up with this word means. And we would say, I know this because. So what does the word mean, and how do we know by looking at the text what that word means? How did that help us find what that word means? So the first word here is amor. So we're going to look, and it says here that amor is on page 3. So we can go back to page 3 as a class. And we can look and find the word amor again. It's here a couple times. It's kind of hard to see the way that it's written on the camera. But I'm just going to go ahead and read again all around that part. It says, I dreamed of you, then you appeared. Together we became amor, love, amor. So for me, I know that the word amor means love. I know that it's a Spanish word. And I came to that conclusion because it's here with the word love, for one. And I also read a little bit about the author before I read the book. And she is from Mexico, and I know that amor is a Spanish word. So for here, I would just say on page 3, it said the word amor. This word means love. And I know this because it said the word love around amor in the book. And I know from reading ahead of time that the author is from Mexico and that amor is a Spanish word. The next word that we have is also on page 3. And that word is resplendent. So we're going to look here together at resplendent. And we're going to see that it says, resplendent life, you and I. And I just think by reading, I dreamed of you, then you appeared. Together we became amor, love, amor. I think that resplendent probably means maybe magnificent or brilliant, because it talks about dreaming of her child, and then her child appeared. And then there's love. So I think that is a brilliant thing. So on page 3, it said the word amor. Or nope, we're already on amor. It said the word resplendent. This word means magnificent. And I know this because it talks about love and it talks about dreaming of her child, and that her child appeared after she dreamt of him. Okay, and then on page 4 is our next word. We have the word bundled. So we would turn to page 4 and just read again around where it says bundled. One day we bundled gifts in our backpack and crossed the bridge outstretched like the universe. Now if we look, when you bundle something, or if you put something in a backpack, you're putting things together. So I would tell my students to think of it that way. But then you can also look at the picture and you can see how all these things are put together. They're tightly together in the backpack. So I would conclude with my students that on page 4, it said the word bundled. And this word means to put together closely. And that I know this because that's what you have to do when you put things in a backpack, is put them together closely. But that there's also this picture here that shows things bundled together. So that's the 3 that we're going to go through today. And as we would continue the lesson, we would obviously go through all of these words here. And the students would do a lot more of the talking than I would once we got started. You know, I would probably give them a couple prompts. I would do a couple like we did amor and resplendent for them. And then I would let them take the floor and kind of take turns talking about what the words mean and then filling in their blanks here at the top. After we did all of this, we would move on to an anchor activity, and I would just give them a worksheet that had some sentences with blank spaces in there for them to use these words to fill into the correct sentences. So these words would be at the top, then they would have their sentences, blank spaces, and they would have to fill in, again, those sentences with the correct word. And that would just give them a little more practice with the vocabulary from this story. And that is the end of my lesson. Thank you so much for watching.